Hello there, I'm Napoleon Barefoot Gambro, and I'm here to talk about a book called Napoleon in America by Shannon Selin. Now, Napoleon in America, it is a work of alternative historical fiction, and what that means is that it posits a counterfactual scenario to what happened. In this case, what if instead of dying in exile on St. Helena, Napoleon had escaped and come to America? And what would that have been like? What would it have meant? It would have had huge ramifications all throughout Europe. Here's the former emperor of the French coming to the New World. What would it have meant? Well, that's what Selin tackles. And she does it by weaving in all these different perspectives from, different houses of Europe, the Bourbons, the Austrians, Wellington, of course, and the British government, John Quincy Adams and James Monroe, the U.S. president. It weaves together all these different perspectives on, okay, what does this mean that Napoleon's come here? And of course, Napoleon, initially when he gets to America, he's taking very much the attitude of, oh, don't mind me, I'm just going to be a simple farmer. I'm not going to cause anybody any trouble at all. Well, as you might expect for a man who'd done so much and been emperor of the French and practically conquered Europe, he can't stay out of the conquest business very long. And even though this is a fictional idea, I think Selin has his personality exactly right on this score, that had Napoleon lived and escaped in such a fashion, he would not have been content. And very soon he starts hatching a plan to invade Texas and create a sort of new France there for himself. I think Selin captures his personality very well here. And the book, it surprised me. I came into it expecting more of a swashbuckling adventure or romance sort of thing, and it's not that at all. So if that's what you're looking for, you might be caught off guard by what it actually is. Now, what this book is more like a history of something that didn't happen. I mean, it's like Selin takes actual letters and quotes from the people at the time and weaves them into this to create this atmosphere that makes it feel like, okay, I'm reading the history of something that happened, except of course, well, we know it didn't. And that creates a real unique feeling to it. Now, I will say that it might catch some readers off guard in the sense that, I mean, it reads like how people wrote in the 19th century. Some of it is how people wrote in the 19th century, and regardless, I mean, it's all written in that sort of style, that older, slower paced, almost, I would say, ornate style that they had back then. And that could be a turnoff to some readers, I suppose. Especially if you're not used to reading that sort of history or reading stuff from the time, you might be like, oh, this is slow going. But it's worth it because it's a very interesting novel of political machinations. It's not so much about, adventures and all this and romance or anything like that. It's about the political implications of what this would look like. I hesitate to use the word scholarly because scholarly I think could put a lot of people off it. But it's almost like doing a thought experiment of, okay, what would this look like? Realistically, let's war game out what happens if Napoleon does show up in America. How does that play out? And I think Selin does a pretty good job of this. At first, in the first half of the book, it's maybe a little slow in the setup. But as it goes along, it gets really good. In particular, some of the battle scenes towards the end, because, Napoleon finds himself fighting, Comanches and various forces, and he gets himself into these old battles like in days of old. And the battles are extremely well written in this book, which is hard to do, and I really admired that. Because I don't know, I'm sure you can find accounts of battles if you look for them. I've read histories, and generally the accounts I read are just, this unit moved here, then this unit moved there. The battles are very, very well handled. I like that a lot. So, all in all, it's a very interesting book. I think if you like history, if you enjoy reading history, and you're into the Napoleonic period at all, I think it's definitely worth giving it a look. If you go into it expecting, some sort of exciting adventure or something like that, yeah, you're gonna be like, what's this? But stick with it because it pays off and it's an interesting experiment. So that's my review of the book. Hope you enjoy it.